Hey everybody, what is up? Chad Wesley Smith here. 350 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal coming your way for the first episode of the Big Ugly podcast. Here on the Big Ugly, I'm going to be giving you my take on the world of sports. And this week, I want to start off with Julian Edelman. Edelman has just had his appeal denied, upholding his 4-game suspension for violating the NFL's PED policy. He came out and apologized for getting suspended, but not really taking any accountability for what he may have in fact taken. And that's no surprise, as it's very rare. I can't think of a single instance, in fact, of an NFL player saying, yes, I took this and they caught me, but so be it. But what I do think it does is opens up a bigger question, and something that has crossed my mind for the last several months, really since last year, and Alex Guerrero coming into the limelight and his kind of controversial role. And that is the potential role of Alex Guerrero as like a Victor Conti type figure within the New England Patriots organization. And Edelman popped positive. And Tom Brady was asked yesterday in camp what they think about what he thinks about Alex Guerrero being linked to Julian Edelman's suspension. And Brady said, "No comment. That's just ridiculous. I'm out," and sort of walked out of the interview. Not quite a storm out, but that question did end the interview. But I disagree with Tom Brady here in that I don't think it's just ridiculous to draw a possible link between the TB12 clinic, Alex Guerrero, and performance-enhancing drug use. Because if you are familiar with sports training and sound training principles, and are familiar with the things purported in the TB12 book, there's a lot of bullshit in it. And if he's elongating players' careers and helping their performance, but doing so with unsound training ideas, where's the positive effect coming from? And I think anytime that someone has this sort of guru and in some ways mysticism attached to them, and Edelman, even jokingly had called Guerrero his Mr. Miyagi. I think that is a realistic connection to make. That while they're doing soft tissue work and focusing on guys' diets and recovery, and all of those are very positive things and can be very helpful to keeping the players healthy and in the game. The way that you see them demonize weightlifting and draw these false ideas about pliability and lengthening muscles, because assuming Alex Guerrero is not taking a scalpel to these players and changing the attachment points of their muscles, he's not doing anything to lengthen them. So there's obviously a lot of pseudoscience going on within the TB12 clinic, and as more and more players from the Patriots flock there in efforts to, whether it's efforts to ingratiate themselves to Tom Brady or efforts to actually elongate their career and stay healthier, some of these results that they're seeing may not just be from the deep muscle treatments and pliability training, making sure that they're drinking enough water to avoid a sunburn. But it would not surprise me in any way that if in the months to come, or maybe even take a couple years for all that information to come out in more of a game of shadows type of scenario. But I would not be shocked at all if it was exposed that Alex Guerrero was playing a bit more of a Victor Conti role, and that his true value to the Patriots players was not in his deep muscle training and pliability and some of the other sort of nonsense that they do there. Though there are positive things, soft tissue treatment and a good diet and hydration are all very useful. But it wouldn't be shocking if he is also serving as sort of an anti-aging specialist, or, for lack of a better term, a drug doctor, whether that's providing things that the NFL doesn't know how to test for, or he's just helping them time things properly to avoid getting caught. Next up, I want to discuss Des Bryant. Des Bryant had an incredible run on Twitter this past weekend, And it all stemmed from Stephen Jones blaming Dez for Dak Prescott's, you know, not bad 2017, but less than expected 2017 season, with Stephen Jones commenting how 2018 will be better for Dak because he's not going to have Dez in his ear, and Dez always demanding the ball and maybe causing Dak to force some passes to keep Dez happy or keep him quiet, that now he won't have to do. And I definitely think I agree with Stephen Jones in a lot of ways there, that Dak was making throws to Dez that if he just dropped back and looked for who is most open, where are my reads and my progressions, who should I throw it to, that a lot of times that he did throw it to Dez, he wouldn't have thrown it to Dez based on his reads and progressions, but he was doing so because of pressure from Dez and kind of probably just being annoyed and not wanting to have to deal with the hassle of Dez being on him all the time. And if Dez would have actually caught some of these passes, it would have been really helpful and helped the Cowboys have a little bit better season last year. But after Stephen Jones came out with these comments, Dez clapped back about as hard as you've seen an NFL player recently do in the Twitter sphere, and going after Stephen Jones, calling Jerry Jones clueless, saying that Travis Frederick and Sean Snake Lee sort of plotted to get him out of Dallas. And he's gone. I don't think he's not doing himself any favors in terms of getting on a new team, because someone who was already thought of as a diva or maybe a bit of a locker room cancer, people will still sign you. They'll still take that contract on, or give you a chance if they think the juice is worth the squeeze and if you're playing really well. But if you're coming off really 2 declining seasons and pairing that with a negative perception of you in the locker room, and then going and doing this stuff publicly, ripping your owner and former teammates, those teams that clearly are not gung ho about signing Dez, that's only going to give them more pause in doing so. As the preseason gets started and wide receivers start getting injured, I think it is gonna open up a place for Dez on a roster somewhere, but he's not doing himself any favors with that. Now, one thing that Dez did call out that I wholeheartedly agree with him on is the very vanilla play calling of the Dallas Cowboys. When you look at the construction of the Cowboys offense last year and the talent on that, yes, Zeke was in and out, but Jason Witten, Des Bryant, Cole Beasley, some very talented players, but they're not being utilized in a very interesting way. And because their offensive line is so exceptional, maybe they feel that they can just line up and run these sort of vanilla plays and make it happen for them. But I would really like to see this year with the Cowboys, especially with the addition of Tavon Austin, such an exciting playmaker. Zeke hopefully being in all 16 games and staying healthy and avoiding any further issues with the NFL. That Jason Garrett can get more creative. And if you look at maybe a team like the Rams and the way that Sean McVay transformed that offense with so much of the same personnel, but just more creative play calling, when you have people like Cole Beasley and you have people like Tavon Austin and you have a quarterback who can get outside the pocket, whether that's on RPOs or it's on boot actions, I think that they can really put some defenses in compromising situations, make it hard on linebackers to know where they need to go, if they need to come up and attack Dak and to avoid him from attacking the line of scrimmage and getting some yards on the ground, or if they need to drop back into coverage. It's going to be tough for defenses to make the right decision in covering these guys. And then when you add in jet sweep actions with Tavon Austin, all the bubble screen stuff that they can do, they have a lot of athletes who they can put into space and make it tough on a defense. So while Dez isn't doing himself any favors in terms of getting on a new team, going on these Twitter rants. It was very entertaining, and I definitely think he is hitting the nail on the head, calling out the play calling issues of the Dallas Cowboys. So that is the first of the Big Ugly podcast. Next week, I'm going to be previewing the NFC, giving my predictions through every division and choosing records for every team. So go check that out. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.